Today we celebrate the feast of a saint who was the good soil, who bore fruit more than 100-fold. St. Francis de Sales. St. Francis de Sales, by his preaching, by his teaching, by his kindness, by his lovableness, won 70,000 souls to return to the Catholic faith. He won these souls not because he himself was out to win, or not because he was keeping count and looking for numbers, but rather because he saw these people as God sees them, and he loved them with a tenderness. And in his interactions with them, he wasn't trying to overcome, but rather he walked as a brother, so that the virtues which stand out the most in his life are both his kindliness and his lovableness. Key to his teaching is that the spiritual life or the devout life isn't reserved just for a select few who live in monasteries or rectories or convents. Rather, his message was for everybody, so that regardless of our position or our state in society, we can live as God wants us to live. We can live this life of holiness, which is offered to us as an extension of this gospel. St. Francis de Sales wrote, "Religious devotion does not destroy, it perfects." So in his teaching, in his directing people in the interior life, the whole purpose wasn't to change them into someone else or to something else, but rather to help these souls become most fully and most completely themselves. Because God, when he calls us to be saints, doesn't want us to be somebody else. He wants us to be who we are, completely perfected, maybe with the rough edges sort of smoothed over. We can be more holy by being more ourselves. I think the key to accepting the word when it's sown in our souls is being attentive to the inspirations which God gives us, and even being attentive to the situations which happen around us. We could be at a store, shopping, buying, and it could be our act of kindness to someone, a gesture, a warm smile, which makes all the difference. Similarly, the people that perhaps we work with or live with or take care of us, we can mimic, or we can follow the example of St. Francis de Sales by reserving, a kind smile, and by being especially appreciative. And then for ourselves, when we see something or hear something, we need to be attentive to that so that we can follow the path that God has for us. An example of this comes from the life of St. Edith Stein. St. Edith Stein was a philosopher and a teacher, and she was going through some conversion experiences, but the definitive moment came when she was at a friend's house and she saw a book, an autobiography of St. Teresa of Avila laying there. She picked it up, and that night she read it from one cover to the other. She devoured every word. And when morning came, she closed the book, put it down, and she said to herself, and this is a quote, "This is the truth. This is the truth." So she received this inspiration, and it pushed her forward in her life. So too, St. Francis de Sales received God's inspirations, and it pushed him forward. And we too receive inspirations, and if we follow them, they will push us forward, and we can be that rich soil which produces fruit, 30, 60, or 100-fold.